Hey everyone, it's your girl Maddie here, aka Beaver Mosh, and today I am joined by Cody of Dungeon Crawl, whose new record Maze Controller is coming off of Carbonized Records off September 20th. Cody, thank you so much for joining me. How are we doing this afternoon?
Hey, I'm great. Sorry, my son is over here. He's presenting me with a sword.
Hell yeah.
Uh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Great to meet you, Maddie. Super happy to be here and chat. I appreciate you taking the time to check out the record and
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
yeah,
Well, I remember listening to the split you did a couple years ago with Throne of Iron, the
yeah,
side quest.
yeah.
Um, and so upon hearing this new album, Maze Controller, I was a little bit, I was definitely surprised by some of the symphonic elements you're bringing in. How'd you come to the decision to kind of take this project in that direction?
Yeah. It was like a big step forward. Like a big directional, I mean not a huge direction change. I remember you did review the side quests, and
I did,
thanks for doing
yeah.
that. Like, yeah, it was awesome. Like I'm glad, we're connecting finally over like,
Yeah,
like an interview. But yeah, like um it was like directional change. And, we kept like the thrash, side of stuff, like like the extreme metal kind of thing. But we decided to do like the orchestral instruments and add the dungeon synth stuff too.
yeah,
But it was like mostly because like we well, first of all, we wanted to do something like fresh, because I mean, like there's like a bajillion thrash bands out there.
mhm.
And like I think we sounded different enough to where like like it was like kind of set us apart from the crowd. Like like I feel like a lot of the stuff that I write is influenced not just by thrash, but like like it had been influenced by like some power metal stuff and like some
Of
death
course.
metal. Yeah, and but like we brought in like a new drummer on this record. Um, he is now basically just like my writing partner, and we were like, oh, dude, we like love Rhapsody. And kind of like epic cheesy metal and
Of
um
course.
yeah, and wanted to just kind of like bring that in, and then like I said, it just kind of helped like make things fresh. And because I've been doing this, like I don't know if you know, like I started in like 2015 writing this
Mhm.
music.
It's
I
almost
kind
10
of sat on
years.
it. Yeah, exactly. I sat on it for like a long time. Um, and then I didn't release anything until 2019. And then I was like, all right, it's time to get a band going. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, and then the pandemic happened. So,
I didn't even put my finger on Dungeon Synth, but you're right. I do now that you say
yeah,
that, I do hear that in the record, and that's interesting because Dungeon Synth, when it's tied in the metal, is usually associated with black metal. I've never kind of heard it, combined with thrash, but considering your
yeah,
lyrical concepts and just kind of, it makes sense. And so
exactly.
props on you for just being like, this is something that isn't typical, it isn't like conventional, but let's try it and see if it works.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, totally um, that it was like, yeah, like you said, black metal, like, obviously like Mortis, and then, just like old sorcery and like all these other I'm not like super familiar with like black metal. Like it's more of like my drummer's realm, but yeah, like
Yeah.
totally like wanted to just, I mean, like I've been listening to like some of the more like I guess like the chip tune stuff. Like
Mhm.
I don't know if you're, there's like a record label called Heimat Der Catastrophe, like, or this called by
Mm.
HDK. Yeah, they're like they just released all this like super cool like fantasy synth music. um that's like inspired by D&D. And it was kind of like my intention was to like kind of go that route, but also like a little bit more of like the grimy, like like uh just stripped down, like not so like because like there's definitely like a difference between like all like the symphonic elements of the album, like on the metal songs, which are like
Mhm.
super bombastic and huge, and like like there's like so much going on, and then like the dungeon synth tracks are like more like bare bones, I feel like, and I kind of wanted to have that contrast.
Yeah. Was it, did you have experience composing synth music before this record?
Yeah, kind of like,
Yeah.
I mean, before on the split, I did the intro track, if you
Yeah.
remember that one. And that was like kind of like my first like, dipping my toe into it, right? And then I've actually been putting out like a few different. I have got like three like like records done for this other project that I do. That's like a also it's like a it's more like um it's I guess it's I don't think I wouldn't classify it as dungeon synth, but it's more like the fantasy synthesizer stuff
Sure.
with like it incorporates some of like the symphonic stuff, but also it's like a little bit more like more grandeur, like a little bit more akin to like film scores. I mean, not saying like I'm like a composer,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit more like in that realm. And that's called Hex Crawl, which is like kind of like the sister band to or project to Dungeon Crawl, where it's like all the synth music I want to put out.
Hell
I was
yeah.
like, oh, maybe I should, yeah, like yeah, just kind of do it under a different name, but still like kind of keep it tied in, right? So yeah.
Well, was it difficult to find kind of the right mixing and layering recipe for this? Kind of between the aggressive thrash and the more, grandiose symphonic elements? Was there a specific balance you were trying to hit?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was kind of just like I don't want to say we played it by ear, but it was definitely like a little bit more like uncharted territory.
Hmm.
And yeah, we were just like, okay, well, just um like yeah, we wanted to like make sure it was like audible, but like without like overtaking all of like the riffs and like like I mean, because like first and foremost, it was like written as like a thrash album, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I had all the riffs, and I was like, okay, so this is like, we decided to like bring in the the extra instruments after the fact, and then like we kind of like we're like, okay, what'll sound good here? Like we can like where are some spots where it's like kind of just like a little bit more basic. Like like when doing it, it's like okay, you find the parts of the song that have like less melody in the guitar riffs, and then just have like had like a like a violin melody or like trumpet melody or something right on top of it. So yeah, like and like the riffs are pretty crazy. Like I don't, there's a lot going on. I feel
Yeah.
like yeah, like if, when you listen to some of the stuff, it's like um like the opening riff of like on like the first like actual song is like very. I mean, we have the intro track, but then like when you get to the first real song, it's like um just like so many notes. So yeah, definitely hard to strike a chord. I think going forward, it's gonna be like we'll find more. Like we'll be able to compose stuff that's like okay, like we're gonna put a break here, and there's gonna be like the orchestra that's playing by itself, or like we'll like leave room for it, right? Like intentionally. So instead
Mhm.
of like trying to find space.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Well, your band lyrically obviously is very inspired by D&D. And I'm wondering for those who may be unfamiliar with the game, why is it so great in your opinion? Why should people give it a go?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's mostly just like there's like a few reasons. I think like the biggest one is obviously just like creating relationships with people. Like just being together and like telling a story and just like like express it and just creative expression, right? Just to like um like be able to have an outlet for something like like whether it's like because I have like the music thing, but also like playing D&D like kind of helps like just like it's like escapism, right? You just want to be able to unplug for a little bit, and it's just like a way to get away from like the screens and like the phones. I'm like
Yeah.
staring at a screen all day for work, you
Yeah.
know. So totally, yeah. I'm just finding um that like like ways to like create human connection. Um and like people like to drink when we play, and like obviously like that can be its own thing. It's like a good way to like
Yeah.
um cut loose, but also just you know, pour part of yourself into, um, and just like yeah, just and like, some cool things could come out of it too. Like if you well, obviously like the relationship side of things, but like if you write something that you think is like worthwhile, like maybe you want to author like a book like based on like the stories that you create, or like just you could
Sure.
find success there. Yeah, totally.
Well, let's even go further back. What is D&D? What is Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, yeah. It's just it's all math. No, it's not.
Yeah,
Surprisingly, not too much math involved, but like uh, it's just the like I mean, it can be what you want it to be, I guess.
yeah,
But I mean, like in like specific terminology, I guess it would be like um yeah, like pen and paper, like you create like a you're the dungeon master. You have the dungeon master who
mhm,
creates a story for you, whether it's like, created by themselves, or they like read like a book that somebody else created, which is like what we call like a module, right?
yeah,
And they follow the module. And like, there's a lot of like leeway where it's like, like they don't have to follow it to a T. Basically, it's like they have this story where like they guide the players, right, like through a like a session or like a campaign or whatever,
hmm,
to basically, I mean, there's no like end goal. Typically like the end goal is like beat the big bad evil guy, right? Or the BBEG is what they call it, right? The acronym. And kind of like um find success. But I mean, like, like in terms of like actual gameplay, it's like um you have like, I mean, all you really need is like a book, the rules, right? Which typically these companies like Wizards of the Coast, and then like Necrotic Gnome, and like all these other like these companies, these publishers who like release the books, they usually offer like free rule sets, which like they're kind of stripped down versions of like the actual game, basically
yeah,
what you need to play. And, you have like statistics and um like things that apply to your characters, and there's like specific rules for like finding, like doing different things. But at the end of the day, it's like basically just like it's very much like like you take what you want from it, and then you can like apply it like in any context, right? Like you don't have to like follow the rules to a T, like a video game, right? Like where you're
yeah,
bound by these like by code, where it's like like you literally cannot do something outside of like the program
yeah.
that will like allow you. But like in D&D, it's like all in your mind, like imagination. So it's like um do what you want, take what you want from it, and then kind of like you can DIY like the rest of it, and or just like but I mean, like obviously it's good to be consistent, and like
Yeah.
um yeah, and like make sure like you don't go back and you know apply a rule that like didn't that you didn't previously. It's kind of like, yeah, if you flip flop a little bit, there's you know
Did you play, or at least are you at least familiar with Baldur's Gate 3?
yeah, I do. I've played the shit out of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Do you think it
Yeah,
stays true to the Dungeons and Dragons formula? Is it a
yeah,
fair representation in video game form?
totally. Yeah. It's like very much I mean, there were like a few things that they had tweaked, right, just to like make it
Yeah,
more like like enjoyable.
yeah,
Like like they updated some spells, and they only took you to um I think it was like was it 12th level? Do you remember? Did you play?
yo, yeah, yeah, yeah. I played the
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Here's
Okay,
my
cool.
Shadow Heart.
Yeah, nice. The
Um,
grumpiest Shadowheart, yeah.
yeah, I think level 12. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. So this 12, and then I think that limits you to like fifth or sixth level spells.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like in D&D, like there's like the concept of, it's like kind of antiquated, I feel like, where it's like, oh, you have like, like you get to level 20 in like the current iteration of the game. But like you only can achieve like ninth level spells.
Yeah.
So like you figured it'd be like it kind of creates some confusion at first for like new players, but then like you get accustomed to it. but yeah, like I think like I think they only take you in Baldur's Gate 3 to like fifth level spells because like if you got to ninth level, then it would be like you have like these crazy spells that are supposed to like bend the fabric of space time and stuff like that. And that's like kind of not possible, or they wouldn't be able to like do it in a way that does the game justice. Like, but yeah, I mean, totally like uh just like in terms of like the actions that you can take and like the way that the combat works and everything, it's very much like it's like pretty faithfully um recreation.
Obviously, being a video game versus a tabletop, with the actual true pen and paper Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
there's infinite possibilities of where the story can go to. Obviously,
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3, there is a finite number of endings and stories, but there's still so many ways that the story can
Yeah.
go. Like no playthrough is going to be the same.
No, yeah, no, like it's amazing. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to say that like I tried to get like the best possible ending. So I would do the
Yeah.
whole save scum thing where it's like,
Oh, I
oh,
save
you
scum the
gotta
shit out of it. I uh
yeah. I
I
was
want to
like,
I want to ask you like what ending you got, but I don't want to have any spoilers here. Maybe we'll put a spoiler tag on here, but like yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I
I'll
know.
ask you. I'll ask you after we stop recording.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
totally.
well, since that last split that you put out, you seem to have added quite a few members to the band. How did you go about, kind of recruiting bandmates for this project, for this new record?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, so yeah, we had before on the split it was our drummer Hobby, and then Chris, who played guitar, and then I did the bass and part of the guitar too, and the
Yeah.
leads and stuff. But yeah, like we kind of like went separate ways, and yeah, with the new crew, because I mean this it would kind of always been like a like me pushing everything forward, but with like the new guys, oh, my son again. Sorry. With
Yeah.
I had found them like my drummer. I like my current drummer. I had known him for it's probably been like 12 or maybe 13 years at this point. I think I met him in 2009, so actually maybe 15 years.
Yeah.
um, yeah, and then I kind of it was originally kind of be like a session thing, and I was like, oh, dude, can you play drums on this? And he's like, okay, yeah. And then we I kept talking, and then I was like, oh, like, well, if we like, kind of to make it like fully realized, like he's like, if we do this whole symphony thing, and I was like in agreement, I was like, yeah, if we just add all the instruments on top and like make it like sound sick, like we're kind of like all in, and it became like a like a permanent thing. And then the other guys, I kind of met them on, like online and through social media, and just had known them, not known about them through the scene and stuff like that. And we met up and took our time, and everything seemed to click. So it was great. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. You can hear kind of like how like it's still the same band that put out, that split, but you can tell that there is some different pieces, kind of
Yeah.
just with the playing.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, well, that split came out on Wise Blood. You're now on Carbonized Records, and I'm wondering how
Yeah.
has this new label experience been for you?
Yeah. It's been awesome. So I mean, like, I have like nothing but amazing things to say about Sean from Wise Blood, and
Yeah,
like that
great
dude
guy.
is like, yeah, like the hardest working dude, and like super awesome to work with. But yeah, like we our drummer, he had known Chad from Carbonized, um and he sent it to him, like the record when we had finished it, and was like, we basically he was like, oh, I don't think there's like no bands that are kind of doing this kind of sound. It's like super unique, and like especially like in like I don't know where you're located, but yeah, I mean like in the Bay Area, like um out here it's like kind of everything is like, I don't want to say it's all the same. There's definitely like some bands that are doing like some really cool stuff. But yeah, like it's kind of a lot of like the caveman death metal and like stuff like that that you see around
Of
here.
course, yeah.
Uh, yeah, so Chad was just like, oh, this is like, sick. And our drummer had known him for a long time. Um and he plays in some like, pretty sick, pretty sick bands, and like Necrot and
Oh yeah,
Stormkeep. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, just super awesome guy. It's been like nothing but like, great experiences working with him. And I've been like super like honored to be, part of the family now. So
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, one thing I wanted to comment on, kind of listening to the record, is that
Yeah.
the guitars here have this like delicious, like old school speed metal crunch to them, and I'm
Oh
wondering
yeah.
just how are you getting that tone out of the guitars? Because I think it's fantastic.
I don't even know. It's like so like little secret. We recorded them all. Yeah, I recorded them all here.
Yeah,
And then like some of the leads we have guest lead guest players for like a couple songs, but I recorded them all here. Just basically like this is kind of like I feel like a pretty typical experience nowadays through like just on my computer. I did like direct input and then I would use like amp sims. I don't want to I don't want to seem like, I'm like less cool or anything, but yeah, I would use like, the amp sims at home. And then we had like the raw track.
yeah,
It was like unprocessed. And then we sent it in for the mixing process. And then Zach Oren, who did the mix and master for the record, he, reamped them.
sure.
Um yeah, and I think he used some kind of like, I mean, at least for like the lead guitars, he used like some kind of like unbranded, like, like Marshall type head. And he's got like so much experience doing like sick bands. Like he's like recorded and like produced like Immolation and like Ex Mortis
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, Machine Head and he's local here. Like he lives in Oakland, or his studio is out of Oakland at least. Yeah, I was just like, oh, like, like I love like a ton of the records he's done. He did the last Warbringer album, and like, like a just like all these like great bands. And I was like, dude, this gotta be it. So it was like super cool working with him. And yeah, I like he's just got like the magic touch with like the guitar tones and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Well, Cody, I know you have other interviews to get to, but
yeah.
I wanted
That's
to
cool.
thank you for coming on the show. Before I let you
Yeah.
go, of course, I want to give you the plug, tell people where they can hear the music, get the record, get the merch, do all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, I mean, we're trying to, like if you see us pop up on social media, don't be afraid to click the profile, and then check. I mean, like
Yeah,
the links obviously are in the bio, but yeah, like everything that we have is, like the first two singles are on all the streaming services, so Spotify and Apple Music and Tidal. If people still use that.
yeah. I gotta say, do people use title? Is that a thing? Like, I don't know.
I think it's for like lossless, like high quality audio or like
Yeah,
or something. But yeah, yeah, and then Dungeon Crawl official.bandcamp.com. This is where we're selling the record, and also through carbonized records.bandcamp.com, or just carbonizedrecords.com. And anyone in the EU or in like Europe or just that general area, they also have European distribution. I don't know the exact website, but you should be able to find it if you just do the Googles. Yeah, yeah. Like check us out.
hell yeah. Well,
Yeah.
as always, thank you to my patron. Thank you for watching. Keep it metal. My name is Maddie, and I'm out of here. See ya.
Thanks for having us. Thanks,
Yeah.
Maddie.